lightweight, step at a side when we coming. Feel it in your chest, the syllables get pumping. People on the street get panic and start running. Words on loose leaf sheet, complete coming. I jump on my mind, I summon the rhyme, I'm dumping. Feeling the blind, I promise to let the sun in. Sick of the dark ways, we march to the drumming. Jump when they tell us that they want to see jumping. Dad, I want to see some fist pumping. Risk something, take back what's yours. Say something that you know they might attack you for. Cause I'm sick of being treated like I have before. Like a stupid standing for what I'm standing for. Like this war's really just a different brand of war.
All right, guys, welcome to Wide Awake Radio. I'm your host, Charlie McGrath. My website's wideawakenews.com. We have a bunch of good people in the chat room. If you want to go over and join them, you can go to wideawakenews.com. Click on the Wide Awake Radio link, and it'll put you right into the chat room. Okay, we're going to have a little change up for tonight. Doug Owen, he had a family emergency, so he's not going to be able to make it on tonight. I'll bring him on, Doug Owen from Blacklisted News. He'll be on next week. We'll get him probably on next Tuesday. And tomorrow we're going to have Gabe Elton on from Austin Rare Coins. So that leaves tonight to go to our, who used to be normal Thursday night guest, but now he's rapidly returning into the Wednesday night guest, which is Dex. We'll bring him on in just a minute. And I also want to make an announcement that there's going to be a few nights of disruption in the show, and these nights I'll be able to announce better following this weekend. Many of you know I'm in the process of moving. I'm going to have to take a couple days where I cannot do the show. We'll be doing rebroadcast while I get set up in my new place and get all the computer lines and phone lines run in so we can do the show from there. So I'll make that announcement coming up. But I want to jump into some headlines because in this moving back and forth between two different towns, I'm commuting about 95 miles one way. So I'm not getting all the time I used to have to sit down and read every news article. But when I got home this evening and pulled up the headlines, it brings me to the same place I was last night, which is we're absolutely through the looking glass here. And I'm going to read you a few headlines from CNBC.com. Seeing firm growth, Fed's Honig says duty to dissent. Now, he's talking about the dissent in quantitative easing, even though they're going to keep doing it. Next headline, service sector grows at fastest pace in 4 years. This story goes on to say that we're having more job growth than any time during 2006. And it's ironic that they're saying the job growth is the best we've seen since 2006, because the next headline goes on to say that the holiday season was the best since 2006. Private sector job creation highest ever for ADP report. Paul Volcker, who was the Federal Reserve chair, who decided to jack interest rates up to 19% to stop inflation back in 3 decades ago. He is stepping down from the White House panel. Robert Gibbs is stepping down from the White House as the secretary or the press secretary. Retailers wrap up Jolly Holiday spending pulse. The headlines go on and on and on. This is on the paid spokesman for Wall Street. This is CNBC. And I click over to Drudge, and I'm reading articles talking about how Bonner is now the he is now the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and we're going to see this big spending freeze. They're going to try to challenge the national credit card, our limit, $14.2 trillion. We're rapidly approaching. We're going to see a big push, I think, by Republicans to try to stifle that. At least that's what was in their pledge. But one of the first articles that was released when Bonner was sworn in today was they have to step back a little bit from their pledge. Of course, they use these fine-sounding ideas to get elected. But now that they're in there, things are going to change. And when is the last time you heard anything about the Tea Party? I mean, this was the darling of Fox News. This was the darling of the Republicans, this grassroots effort to take the government back. And the new Congress is seated. They were seated today, and there's not hardly any talk. The only thing you see going on is there is a big push to get Michelle Bachmann to run for president, or at least they're talking about it on every news site possible, that she's considering a run for president. Now, they've already got this lady painted as an absolute lunatic. You know, they have her painted as a far, far right-wing, almost a Nazi in her convictions. So, you know, I think we're seeing another person who has sentiment that we need to return to a constitutional republic. We're seeing the mainstream media set her, bring her up to this pedestal like they did the Tea Party, just so they can eventually tee off on her and drive her 400 yards into the fairway, and she'll be nothing more than an anecdote come 2 years from now or a year and a half from now when we're talking presidential runs. I did find it interesting today. We talked about bird kill, fish kill last night. Headlines on Drudge. Canadian river mysteriously turns bright green. Hundreds of dead birds in Texas now. Thousands of dead fish in Florida. Hundreds of thousands of dead birds in Louisiana. Swedish birds scared to death. 40,000 crabs wash up on UK beaches. So this is in a row over on the Drudge Report. And what is going on? What is going on in the world? All that said, I want to get into all those subjects tonight. We only have one break, and it's at the bottom of the show. But first, I'm going to bring on Dex. And Dex, tonight we are covering the markets first before we start arguing, I decided. I want to know what's going on. Why is gold and silver taking a giant retreat? Well, I'm going to pose the question. I'm going to give you my thoughts, and I want you to tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Okay.
Gold and silver are they're declining right now. The dollar's rallying a little bit. It's just barely over 80. The markets today kind of fluctuated a little bit and then ended on the upside. But I think what's going on with all of this optimism, this 300,000 jobs ADP is reporting were created last month, all this optimism on the propaganda networks, talking about the best job creation since 2006, the best shopping season since 2006, corporate profits are, you know, in some cases they're record highs. All this optimism is going hand in hand with quantitative easing, and it's being used to rally the stock market. I think we're going to have, and I said this last night, I don't know if you were listening, I think we're going to have a massive rally, 14, 15, 16,000 points. And we're going to see, you know, things like this $1.9 trillion of corporate profit offshore get repatriated into the country at a 5% tax rate. This money will be shoved into the Dow Jones or into onto Wall Street, into the stock markets, furthering the rally on Wall Street. They're pushing optimism as hard as I've ever seen it, and as a result, we're seeing a pullback on metals. So are people? Were they getting scared at the end of 2010, and they were stocking up on gold, they were stocking up on silver, even if it was paper gold and silver, and now they're seeing all this positive propaganda, and they're thinking, oh, I better not miss the boat, I got to get into the markets. So they're exiting some of their metal positions, and we're seeing a decline, and the money's flowing into the stock market. Is that a fair analysis, or am I way off target?
No, you're definitely on the right track. But I would add this. Basically, in a nutshell, what you saw would happen today is that J.P. Morgan covered their short position, and now they're in the process of reversing and going long in the market. The collapse came just as the Vulcan report predicted, and we also discussed this in the Black Ops trading room 4 days ago before you saw the pullback. We warned that the flash crash in the metals was coming, and it came. So that's what you saw.
So are we going to see it just turn around now and go back to the positive, or are we going to see on Monday's show and last Friday's show? Well, excuse me, last Thursday's show because we didn't do a show Friday. In some of the predictions for 2011, I had said that I think we're about to be slapped upside the head on precious metals. I said I don't think we're going to see silver go below 25, 24, that ballpark, but I think it's going to kick off the year by a big dumping in metals and a big rally in the stock market. But all due to quantitative easing, all due to tax deals that are being cut, and all due to with the propaganda that we see coming out now, especially considering the wave electioners are being installed today. So we're probably going to see a cutback in a lot of poverty prevention programs. I know you and I disagree a little bit on that, but what's it shaping up to be? I mean, is it a trader's paradise because it's going to go to the moon? Are you getting out of your silver and gold positions, or do you think we're going to turn around and start shooting to the moon again on metals?
Well, I'll put it to you like this. We've been on the sidelines as far as initiating new long positions in the gold and silver futures and gold and silver spot, but we are holding call options, long call options in the metals. We're just not doing anything on the futures and on the spot side just yet. Because of the falling knife, no one wants to catch a dagger in the heart. Once the bleeding and the bloodletting is over, and we see that they're done with the manipulating it to the downside, then we're comfortable in piling on long positions again. And then we're going to have to prepare for the hyper-parabolic up moves that are going to follow this wave. And the next move up should be at least $6 from where we are today.
Interesting. Any
$5 level.
Okay. Any time frame you see on this?
Yes. I am so glad you asked.
What's
this
the time
will
frame,
take
Dex?
place in the next 2 to 2.5 weeks from today.
Oh wow. Okay. Quick. Okay.
Yep.
That's good news, I guess.
$35 silver within the next 2.5 weeks.
Okay. Well, that's I'm going to write that one down because I'd like to see that turnaround. It feels to me, I mean, honestly, this is what it feels like. It feels like 2007, late 2007. I'm waiting for Bernanke to come on TV and tell me that housing prices never go down across the nation. It's never happened in the history of the country. It's not going to happen now. That the subprime's a $30 billion problem, and it's going to be easily handled. And then, with optimism galore, following on the heels of record bonuses on Wall Street and corporate earnings through the roof, there doesn't seem to be any bad news anywhere in the mainstream anyway. And so, with all this good news, is this the time you better be, it's time to be contrarian and get ready for the thunder?
We're getting ready to buy as much of the silver and gold and copper and palladium and platinum as we can possibly buy during this pullback correction test of support. Absolutely. We're about to go all in. That's why they raised the margins so that the little guy can't play. They're trying to make it impossible so when the price pulls back cheaply, you won't be able to go in and trade it. I mean, the futures contract is a monster beast of a contract. There are some people that, didn't listen to my warning, and they're down over $20,000 today. That's a lot of money for one futures contract. That's twice the margin requirement for one contract. So the bottom line is, unless you know what the elite are up to and what they're doing, you will not be able to profit from it. And we had a class earlier today in the Black Ops trading room where I actually went in and demonstrated to the room how, when, where, and why the powers that be, the Illuminati, is operating in the markets, especially in the precious metals. And it was
we'll
quite
cover
a class.
that. I didn't get to catch it. I didn't get my invite to the seminar. So share.
It was a spur of the moment kind of thing. Based on the way that the price action was moving in tandem to what the algorithms were predicting, we have a bot check that predicts market movement 3 to 5 days in advance. So it gives you a warning. And what we tried to do was let everyone know when they were going to be operating and the why. So I gave them the when and the why. I told them that JP Morgan is being squeezed, and they need to get out and unwind these positions. So they're going to let the market tank so that they can get out. And then they're not just going to get out, they're going to reverse the long, and they're going to build up a huge long position. That's why they raise the margins so that no one will be able to play in their sandbox. So now you're going to see a total, just total mayhem coming to these markets. That's why you've been seeing the prices of commodities going up at the store. Even the price at the pump for your gas is going up, because eventually you're going to see hyperinflation in the prices in the markets, and it's going to be reflected there first, and it's going to be very nasty. What's coming this year is going to just shock people into just unbelief. And you thought the $150 a barrel for crude oil was something. You ain't seen nothing yet. People gonna think
we're sitting at 90-30. We're sitting at 90-37 right now.
Yeah, you ain't seen nothing. People have no idea the power of the markets. When they allow a market to go to the moon, it will go to the moon, and there will be nothing you can do to stop it. And that's what's about to happen. A huge train is about to take off from the track, and they won't be able to stop it. And they don't want to stop it because they're in business to make a killing. So what I'm telling people is follow the money. Wherever you see them operating, that's where you want to put your money. It doesn't matter why. It doesn't matter how. That's where you want to be. That's where the action is. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't have to be sexy. It doesn't have to be gold and silver. It can be water.
It can be pork bellies.
Well, no, you ain't going to be messing with pork bellies. But you will want to have water on your watch list. They have a new ETF for water, PIO. You're going to want to get into that.
Whoa, wait a minute. We have an ETF for, what is it, for bottled water? Or is it for municipal
water, period. Yes.
Unbelievable. It's a casino, Dex.
No, it's not a casino. They want to get rich off of our misfortune. They're going to be people starving to death and dying of thirst, and they're going to make trillions of dollars off of it.
Well, again, we're betting on the misery of the citizens. You know, this is exactly like Al Gore's carbon credits, like the energy exchange in Chicago, started by Gore and Blood and Goldman Sachs, Goolsbee, all these vampire-ish names come out of the woodwork, and they want they want to make money on us dumping carbon into the atmosphere. JP Morgan needs to make money on food stamps, so they issue the debit cards. You know, their offices, if you call somebody. As a matter of fact, true story, I 2 weeks ago, I received my statement for my mortgage, and there's a $40 late charge on it. I check when they received my payment, and it was a day past the required date. So I called them up, and I had to speak to this lady, the sweet lady, but I had to speak to her for 20 minutes because, I couldn't understand her. She was in India. I finally asked, where are you? And she said, India. They waived the charge because I never had missed a mortgage payment. But, this is Citibank. How many billions and billions of dollars have they received from us? But, so, I understand that they need to make money off misery. But, you're gambling with the lives of people, and then you're profiting when they are in the worst condition that they could possibly be in.
That's how they get down. That's how they do it, man. That's what's up. So you're going to see that continue. That is going to continue. It's going to get worse. Prices are going to be just catastrophically through the moon. People are not going to be able to afford just the basic necessities of life, and that's exactly how they want it. So the bottom line is you want to get in where you can now, because it's going to be very difficult. The hardship is going to be very difficult. I don't know what else to say. Follow the price action. I put it like
there's not. I agree. There's not a lot to talk, and we haven't seen since the last week of 2010. Last few weeks, 3 weeks, hardly any action in the markets. No big days. The biggest day I think in the last month was the first trading day of 2011 with a 100-point jump up on the Dow. Gold and silver have all, what is the 200-day moving average on silver? It's still around $25, isn't it?
Let's just call it 22. Let's call it 22.
Yeah.
$22.
So again, I'm going to harken back to something you said on the show a long, long time ago, which is there's nothing to see here. Everything's trading in these ranges. The sentiment is what I'm talking about. The sentiment that seems to be propaganda all day, every day, on every newspaper, on every magazine, on every website, is that things are better than they were before the recession. Even you got to go back to 2006. And again, I mean, when everybody's crying and celebrating in the streets because we're having bumper crops and we're having bumper profits, that's the time you best get prepared. Because you can almost guarantee something is coming down the road.
Hold on, Dex. Hold on.
I want you to say it. I'm going to cut you off. I want you to say it. We're going to take the only break we're going to take during the show. Right. If you guys have questions for Dex on the markets, on gold, on silver, on trading, 877-342-6673. We'll be back after this break. No more breaks for the show. So call in and get your questions on air for Dex. We'll be right back.
If you hang outside, don't come in. I'll only run and hide. You can see now. You can see now. You can see now. Can it be knocking at my door?
All right, guys, welcome back. First of all, I want to thank everybody who showed up in the chat room tonight. Like I said, I'm in the process of this move, so it's hard to get home in time to try to get a promotional video put out, but we still have 90-plus people in the chat room. So if you want to join them, go to wideawakenews.com, click on the Wide Awake Radio link, and you can enter the program. If you have questions or comment, I think we're probably going to go this last half hour more to current events. If anybody has any knowledge, any theories other than what we heard yesterday on this bird kill, this fish kill, the crab kill. I mean, HAARP was brought up yesterday. Cookie called in and said it was fireworks, and we heard that on the news bit before this show began. If there's any more theories on going around about what's going on there, I'd love to hear about them. 877-342-6673. Dex, let's get into whatever you want from this for the remainder of the show. We covered the markets, like I said. There's not a lot of news there. It just seems to be pressures building against the dam as far as the markets go. Even though we see a pretty violent move down on gold and silver over the last 2 days, it's still well within the 200-day moving average, and it's still very, very high on both of them. 1380 on gold and 2950 on silver. So a lot more of nothing to see, although in the peripheral, the propaganda for recovery, I've not seen anything like this since green shoots talk came out, even though nothing is getting better. I mean, these numbers they're giving us, I think, are anecdotal. Of course, we're going to have big hiring in November. It's going to be temporary. A lot of it, not all of it. I mean, there are jobs being created, but a lot of these jobs are seasonal. So, but it just seems like the hype, and we're going into this new Congress being seated, and I think austerity is going to be the catchphrase for a while, and they'll use a ever increasing statistical recovery as the reason for austerity being implemented. We got to get our deficits under control. They talk about this on one hand, Dex, yet on the other hand, Bernanke says, well, it's just not good enough. Our recovery is not quite strong enough, so we're going to keep this quantitative easing going. So, I mean, it's lip service followed by propaganda, followed by what they're going to do anyway, which all, to me, indicates we're going to have, a very propaganda-filled early 2011 with maybe a spring or early summer realization that we're in a lot of trouble. Your thoughts?
Well, basically, you hit the nail on the head. we are definitely in a lot of fiscal trouble. But again, it's all programmed. It's going the way that they want it to go. You know, I tried to, you know, put it out there in the last video that I did, you know, the New Year's video that I did with the little dude in the suit wishing everyone a Happy New Year.
Love that guy.
Did you hear what was said in the video? I explained that the next attack was going to be in the air. I don't know if people really read between the lines. I put it out there. That's all I can say. And now you see birds falling from the sky and fish coming up to the surface. All right? The HARP program works hand in hand with the chemtrail spraying program, okay? That's why it doesn't matter what you do. At the end of the day, you still have to eat and breathe air and drink water, right? The last time I was on your show, we did the antagonist thing, and I played the devil's advocate, and you were the good guy. I tried to explain that's where the battle is being fought, and no one can do anything about that. See, you can do something about someone rolling up in your house unannounced, right? You can defend your property. You can do all that stuff. And that's what most people are waiting for. Most people are waiting for armed men to come to your door and try to take you away off to a FEMA camp. That's not the way it works. That's not the way it's going to work. They're going to have people begging to come to the FEMA camp. They don't need to take people in trains. This is not Nazi Germany. They know they can't get away with that. But they can make it so that you're begging to go to that camp. They can make it so that living outside of the camp is near to impossible or at best extremely difficult. They can make it so that clouds appear out of nowhere. They can make it so that if they want to dump 10 feet of snow on a small area that's not used to getting more than a foot of snow, maybe once every 10 years, is destroyed with that snow. They can make it so that low-lying areas are flooded out whenever they want. It's not a message. They can cause earthquakes, you know, in certain regions of the planet that is not prone to earthquakes. A while back, I posted some things on my blog concerning the Gulf oil spill. Approximately 2 weeks before the Gulf oil spill, I put out an alert saying that a major ecological attack was about to occur, and it was banned and pulled off the internet, so the word couldn't get out, and YouTube wouldn't let me upload a video. That was when I was having all those problems uploading videos, so I couldn't get it out. Like I said, it's a lot of things I want to tell people in an alert, but I just can't. They have things so controlled that they get to, you know, disseminate the information. So it's very difficult to get warnings out to people and say things. By the time you do it, it's already too late. You know what I mean? So what are you going to do? So that's why, you know, I created the Black Ops Trading so that during the market hours I could inform the guys in the room, the guys and gals, and here's what's about to happen, and they can see it for themselves in real time, and then they can take action. And that's the best I can do. I mean, I'm only one person, so I just do what I do, you know. But I will say this:
you know,
we're on the air.
It's tough. Pardon me?
Would you like to know what the next thing is going to be?
Yeah, drop it on us, Dex.
All right, here we go. The next thing that you're going to start seeing is an incremental increase of the price of goods and services, but this time it's going to be noticeable. And it's going to be noticeable in the things that we need the most, such as food and water. That's what's next. And there's going to be a supply squeeze, meaning that you're going to see less and less of the goods and services on the shelf as the prices rise. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen, we saw it at the manufacturer's level and at the wholesale level, massive increases last year.
That's not what I'm talking about.
No, I know. What I'm saying is,
you're going to go to the store, and that particular item or shelf space is going to be empty for an extended period of time, and when it does show up on the shelf, it's going to be like double the price for it. How about that?
No, I agree. It always takes time. I mean, it takes time between an increase at the manufacturer's level or the supply level, but to the retail level. So I agree. We're going to see increases, especially, I mean, it does. Really, that's how we got into this mess. I mean, we had zero interest rate policy from the Fed. Homes started going up 10, 15, 20% a year, even more than that in some areas.
I was talking about instant ones, sharp increases.
Okay, I thought you said incremental.
Incremental meaning certain items, not all items across the board.
Oh, okay.
That's the incremental I mean. Like today, the bread was $2.99 a loaf. Tomorrow, it'll be $3.99 a loaf. And then they won't have any more, period. And then when they do get it back, it may be $4.99 a loaf. I'm talking like within the next probably 90 days.
That's 90 days, a jagged increase. That's the next thing coming.
Uh-huh.
All right, well, let me tell you what I think is coming.
Right.
I think in this movement there has been in the last few years, and I'm talking about the enlightened movement, the awakened movement, whatever you want to call it. There's going to be tremendous battle fatigue in this movement, and it's going to be because of the overwhelming agenda of propaganda. People like you, people like me, people like Warren and people in the chat room, who people were listening to more so than ever, especially since the collapse of 2008, 2007, are going to be treated the way they were treated before, when we were talking about when the bailouts really started years before the 2008 collapse. Tinfoil hat wearers. I think not only is this movement about to take its biggest test of solidarity in and amongst itself, and with withstanding the pressure of holding off the propaganda. And I'm not talking, me holding off propaganda against Dex's channel or this radio program. I'm talking about the mental war that people are going to be experiencing, thinking, am I listening to this stuff and it's all for naught? I mean, they're just going to keep this going on forever and ever and ever. This is going to be, I think, in the very near future, maybe in the same period of time you're talking about this spike up, it's going to be a difficult time in this genre, for sure, without a doubt. Like I said, through the last 2 years, 1.5 million views on the videos total. I've had a lot of comments from people, very, very honest, sincere comments of people who've experienced this battle fatigue from, trying to wake people up or trying to just get to the truth. I mean, it's a lot of work just to keep yourself informed with reality. But when you have this momentous propaganda machine just hammer to the floor, it does make people question their own sanity in some cases. Well, maybe things are getting better. Maybe this is coming, and I think this movement is going to be tested as well as labeled by people who don't want us out here talking about current events, what really is happening, and what really could happen. That is going to be coupled, Dex, I think, with a shift. I've been talking austerity for a while, the last couple months, really hard, because I think that's going to be the biggest news of 2011. The attack of alternative media is going to be coupled with the outright pitting neighbor against neighbor. We're going to see an attempt to turn everybody who has strategically defaulted on a mortgage any of the 1.5 million people who filed bankruptcy in the last year, the people who are on 2 years unemployment, the people who are, scraping by and who are just walking away from debt. They're going to be made absolute enemies of the state in the next year and a half. And it's going to be a time that really, really tests your humanity. And I think it all kicks off with the implementation of austerity. And I think that's the big story of 2011 and starting now. I mean, I can see it starting now. I can see Bonnier getting up there, all blubbery-eyed and, weepy and talking about the pledge, this, that, and the other thing. Well, I think what's coming is going to be the austerity. The Republicans in the House are going to give it cover. The split between the House and the Senate are going to assure that nothing is approved. And the only way that these programs that we have in place now can continue, the poverty prevention programs can continue, is if they're approved. So once these are let to run and expire, the White House has no desire to pass any legislation to help the people of this country. That's when austerity will come in. That's when it's going to be this time coming very soon. I think is going to be very trying on men's souls in this country. That's my piece.
Trying on men's souls, I think, is an understatement. And people are getting fatigued because they keep hearing what sounds like the same information being regurgitated over and over and over again. But the reason for that is because people need to hear it over and over again so they can get the message. Most people are not even taking action in any kind of way. And when you do share things with people, they don't hear you. It's almost like they really don't care. It goes beyond whether they believe you or not. They don't care. Because if they did care, it would require action. And because, like I said in my videos, most people are lazy, they don't want to be told what to do. They want to be told everything is okay. They don't want to be told that danger and doom is coming. They want to be told everything is okay. That's what they want to hear. And if you warn them too much, then they say, okay, now you're just fear-mongering or you're getting me down. I want to hear something positive. Well, you can only hear something positive when there's something positive to hear. But if the warning bells are going off, you better take heed. When the fire alarm goes off, you have to vacate the building or you're going to burn up. It's just that simple. So we're telling everyone the building is on fire, the fire alarm is going off, and we have people still in disbelief. They don't believe it. They don't want to believe. They don't want to believe that the home that they love or the building that they love is on fire. They don't want to believe that it's burning to the ground. And you have some people that are in such denial. They've made it out of the building, and they're standing there watching the building go up in flames, and they still are saying the building is not on fire. They refuse to believe that the building's on fire. So it gets to a point where it doesn't matter what we say and do. There's going to be some people who are just going to be in denial, and they're not going to take any action whatsoever. So the end game will go on because no one is going to stand up as a whole and do anything. If there are only 2 million people who are awake out of 400 million, no change can come. It won't come. The ones that aren't awake will just squash the ones that are. So what do? You can only do what you can do. You can only take care of you and those who are like-minded. You build community. You help your neighbor. And that's pretty much all you can do. The rest is, going to be left up to, whatever. That's where we are.
No, I agree. I agree. And it is... Yeah, and it is. It is frustrating. I'm not even going to say it's frustrating, but the people listening to us right now, Dex, they understand. They know that. The people that are listening to us now, I don't think are the people who are looking for the silver lining. And I'm not saying that's what you're saying, but we end up in an echo chamber in a lot of cases. because we are speaking to, you and I speak to each other, we speak to the people on our YouTube channels, on this radio program, and we all realize what's going on. But I think this period of intense propaganda to convince going into 2011 here that we're on the path to recovery, this intense propaganda is going to lead to an isolation almost of this community. And a lot of people are commenting in the chat room now that, that we are here for each other, we support each other, and I agree. I mean, I think the community that we have now, the alternative media community, the awakened community, will take care of each other, will support one another. But nonetheless, it does prove to be frustrating because you see it coming, you can call it out, you can almost predict the next move because it's just wash, rinse, repeat over and over and over again. We get the same cycle over and over and over again.
And they're doing it right in our face. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
If there are no more bees, there goes your food supply. If the birds are falling out of the air, okay, obviously there's something wrong with the air. If the fish are dying in the water that you're supposed to be drinking, and we eat fish, there goes a big, massive amount of your food supply. And when you have all these things dying and disease in the water and disease in the air, you don't need to be an expert or rocket scientist to put two and two together and realize food crisis, water crisis. If you don't have clean, potable water, you're in trouble. We can eat and sustain life for a little bit, but you can't go too long without water. And here's, I understand about, water filters and filtrating your water and all that. And that's a process that you have to go through, and that's cool. But what happens when it stops raining? Or when it does rain, you got acid rain coming down. People aren't really stopping to think about what it is that man has done to the environment and to the atmosphere. See, man-made global warming is true. It's not false. What's false is the cause that they said is causing it. The cause is the chemtrails. The cause is the BP oil spill. The cause is HAARP and ionizing the atmosphere. Those are the causes. Another cause, setting up all those rockets into space. Okay? All these things come into play. Bombing the moon. Oh, we found water on the moon. Why does that matter that you found water on the moon if we got plenty of water here? Oops, my bad, it's because you poisoned it and because it's running out. That's why the fish are dying. All these things are coming out. All these things. Oh, and by the way, we're sorry that we drilled too far down and that we disturbed the fault line, and now we're in danger of seeing Yellowstone Park totally explode and half of the country go with it. My bad.
If that happens, Dex, you're going to have to take over the radio show because in about a week I'll be located at 90 miles from the largest caldera supervolcano on the planet. And if it goes up, I'm in perfect...
It's not, if that happens, it's when that happens. All these earthquakes are happening because the man-made earthquakes cause the chain reaction. So out of the hundreds of earthquakes the planet has been having, they've been a response, a natural response to man's meddling, okay? So man has now disturbed major fault lines under the seabelt. Man has caused things to happen in the oceans and in the water and in the food supply. In his greed to put out these fake seeds and fake food, he has now disturbed the entire food chain. He has done a lot of things that is going to cause great calamity across the entire globe. That's why you're seeing all these things.
And the majority of the people,
globe, not just one area.
Dex, I agree with you, and the majority of the people are going to be dancing on their way to oblivion. They're just going to, be looking at whatever the pop culture media event of the moment is, or whatever superstars doing whatever, or whatever athletes doing whoever. They'll be just completely distracted. Yeah, and that part, maybe I'm projecting some of my own frustrations into the show tonight, because I do see the pop culture exploding with trivial garbage, while real news is just absolutely kicked aside and forgot about. And it's almost like the powers that be want to dangle this knowledge in front of your face. Just say, hey, you knew it was coming. We told you. Here's thousands of birds falling out of the air. Here's, the largest oil spill in the history of the planet, and we cleaned it up in 36 days after we allegedly plugged the leak. And nobody asks questions. Anybody that does ask questions is marginalized, demonized, cubbyholed, put away, and in some cases just end up dead. So, yeah, I agree. I mean, these things are being done in the name of greed, in the name of hubris, in the name of control, and unfortunately, for whatever reason you want, some people think it's fluoride, some people think it's the dumbing down, the intentional dumbing down. For whatever reason you want to, ignorance is the reason I give. Most people are going to go dancing along into the night, into their own oblivion. Ergo, I don't mind being 90 miles away from the largest supervolcano on the planet. If it goes...
I'll put it like this, they want people to be totally numb to all this, and they've made it so comical that it's unbelievable. Right now everyone's talking about 2012. They don't understand that nothing's going to happen in 2012. So now you got a group of people that have moved it up, and now they're saying the end of the world is in May. And then they want to be as bold and say that the Bible said it, and the Bible does not say it. So what's happening is people now are being told in reverse psychological terms that any belief in any doom or gloom scenario is foolishness, okay? So now they're numb to it. They won't believe anything that you have to say, even when and if it is valid. So that's where we are right now. That's the dumbing down.
It's dumbing down, smoke and mirrors, whatever you want to call it. Dex, I don't know. You know what? This was kind of like a therapy session I have with you tonight. So once again, you've put on a different hat. Devil's advocate last week, therapist this week, stock analyst next week, perhaps. No, you did a great job. Great job as always. I appreciate everybody showing up tonight, even with no promotional video. Over 80 people, 90 people in the chat room all night long. Thank you very much. Tomorrow night, Gabe Elton, we're going to go over his Austin report, and he's going to bring some specials to the show. I greatly appreciate everybody continuing supporting this program, showing up night after night. This is a community, and we do rely on each other's support, and I greatly rely on you guys showing up and putting in your 2 cents and helping this program along. Everybody stay tuned. Jeff Rintz is coming up next.